Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by the founder of JKS Yoga. She is a life and business coach, energy healer, and a magic facilitator. Jennifer Kenny Smith, better known as JKS. JKS spent 26 years in an executive sales position, so she knows what it's like to feel burnout, broken, and stuck, even though you might be on top in the professional world. So we're going to be talking to her about her life and everything that she's up to and everything that she's going to be up to. So JKS, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, Curtis.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. So the transition of my life in midlife, we'll call it, happened after I found myself burnt out, exhausted, overwhelmed, and what that manifested in a physical symptom was panic attacks. And I think as a high performer, the last thing you want to do is look weak and insecure and inferior, especially in a very competitive landscape. The company I was at is one of the top leading IT software companies. Our customer was the federal government. So big exposure, big purpose, big mission. We're supporting a lot of mission critical applications. And I had a altercation with my boss, my superior. And it was something I believed in for my team. We were fighting for recognition for a deal, revenue. And he was told by his superior to give credit to another division. And I didn't understand all of the semantics behind why. I didn't really care. It was wrong on my terms. We deserved it. We earned it. And so I fought. I was a fighter. I'm a survivor. And when that runs in your DNA, you sometimes don't know when to stop. And insubordination was what was happening. I didn't respect the authority. I didn't care. We weren't in a military or like a chain of command. I needed to do the right thing to protect me and my team. So my boss threatened to fire me over this disagreement. And instead of me taking it like a champ and walking through what other options there are or helping shed light on why I was so passionate about fighting for this business, uh, I I broke. Something in me cracked, and I dropped into a version of me that was insecure and not confident and not polished. And it would have been like a very young age of me where I felt fearful, threatened, and raised in a violent home with codependency and substance abuse and fear that ran through the bloodline. And instead of being in my authority as a woman in a career with a great brand and authority, I fell into this pattern of feeling like a little girl who was then being threatened by another man. And I didn't know then that this is all patterns and they can be interrupted. I didn't know the authority I had. And so the panic attack was this fear manifesting in physical form. So I was brave enough to go into therapy to figure out how to handle this inconsistency and my confidence, this pattern of this anxiety and panic. And my therapist encouraged me to go to yoga. And the preface was yoga will teach you how to breathe, and the anxiety and the panic in the body is not being able to expand the breath into the body. So it's a lot of we're living in the fear. It's the fear of the future, fear of not enoughness, fear of something bad's going to happen. And that's exactly where I lived. I thought I'll lose my job. I'd lose my house. I mean, it was quite a leap and extremism, but that's where all I was living in was fear. So I went to yoga, and yoga didn't just teach me how to breathe, and it taught me how to be fully present, not to the fear, but to me, to my ability to deeply connect and define who am I in the moments, not just of success, but in the greatest moments of weakness. And so what was a physical practice. Yoga in the West is very physical. It was demanding. It was this high endurance calisthenics type of challenge. And I couldn't necessarily keep up with just the physical side because there was so much emotional disruption, so much emotional pain that was unprocessed, that was stored, that was waiting to be eradicated. And the presence of witnessing who I am, and I'm not the story of pain or fear of suffering. I'm the opportunity to expand and to step into a more powerful version of me, and the movement of the emotions moving through my body that the physical practice of yoga gave me access to. And then that sacred space of not doing it and performing for anybody else, but to witness me and then to eventually find me. And so I had a big shift in my life about 10 years ago when I stopped living to perform, to be enough for somebody else to validate me, to promote me, or to love me. I had to let all of those versions of me that were so desperate and so needy heal and to accept all of me and then to create a new version of my life, which is where I am today, which is divinely guided, which is full of love and acceptance and allowance and perseverance and understanding that we are here for the greatest expansion and to love and to connect. And that happened through what was one of the most traumatic moments of my life, panic attacks, and realizing I didn't have all the answers and I didn't have it all together. I needed to have it break, in fact, to be able to break through.
Where you also are a magic facilitator. So explain to the listeners what a magic facilitator is and does.
Yeah, so I work in the realm of energy healing. I've studied Reiki. I've studied different types of quantum physics and quantum healing. And we are a spiritual being, each of us a spiritual being, a soul living in a physical body, having a vibrational experience, whether it's good, joyful, loving, accepting, expanding. Expanding isn't always what feels good. It can be some of the pain, or low frequency, which is going to be the shame, guilt, blame, anger, resentment. I spent the majority of my life in the low frequency and got more of that. I had a challenging childhood with an alcoholic father. I married a man who was very much like my father, which I didn't witness until we were in the marriage. It didn't happen as much when we were dating. And so I repeated the pattern of low frequency, of fear, of uncertainty, of scarcity, of not enoughness, and learned how to look external from me to be enough and to feel like I was worthy of love and success and having the opportunity to just partake in life. So all these low frequencies for me equated to suffering. And as I transmuted that suffering and that yoga experience, which continues every day, I still do yoga every day just to keep remembering who I am and coming back to the core of my truth, that I am worthy and that I am enough. As you transmute the suffering, those low frequency emotions, you get access to the higher frequencies. There's people that are like, oh, you just have to have self-love. I didn't know what that was. I hated myself. I didn't have access to what a loving and kind, supportive relationship would be with me. So, and you can't fake that till you make it. You have to move through it and start to realize we live in a world of energetics. So, can the soul, the spirit of you, have a higher level frequency experience and then allow the body to embody what that feels like? Love frequency is 500 hertz. God frequency is in the 900 hertz. Shame is 27 hertz. Where do we want to live? In the belly of the beast, in the bottom of the barrel at despair? Or do we want to live in love and connection and joy? Well, there's a path that the soul, the spirit, and the body have to go through to get there. So, through my yoga, I teach what's called high frequency yoga, where we practice the feeling of moving through the different frequencies, the different vibrations, which is part of the magical experience. So we expand. And then once you get into that higher frequency, you'll know I don't want to drop back into shame, blame, guilt, resentment, overwhelm, frustration, fear. Like that sucks. I lived there for like 38 years. And then the other side of it, so once you feel into what it feels like to feel beautiful, to feel loved, you realize all along you've been the one designing it. You are the creator. You are the one to conspire for your greatest gifts. and to go fight for what you believe in, not to fall victim to this world is hard. Yeah, there's some pain, but it's not, we can't associate ourselves to long-term pain. We must declare that we are here for more and then design that life built in a state of abundance, of wealth, of health, of love. And that, my friend, is the magic. So I love to co-create magic and transmute that pain, shame, blame. It's this path of what I've understood and realized is the path of suffering to the surrender. And you don't surrender to something less, you surrender to something greater.
Well, talk to the listeners about your program and JKS Yoga. Kind of tell us what you do, what the program entails, and is it local or is it virtual?
Yeah, thank you. So I believe movement is medicine. I believe the breath is the access point. And the heart is the portal. So as we're looking to, if you're curious of what it would feel like to live in a higher frequency, to live in a state of just pure bliss, where you don't have to live in the pain, the physical, mental, emotional struggles, those battles, they can all be transmuted and you can move through them. And so the physical practice, which ends up being an energetics practice of yoga we do every morning, it is virtual. I've had both in person and virtual. I do retreats as well and pop-up workshops where we can be together in person. But what every day is virtual. So we log in and we have a live class together. I just moved to North Florida and I have a absolute sanctuary that I practice in, which you get to be in that same frequency where we're surrounded by nature. I've got this beautiful magical portal of a pool where we got water element, earth element, air, and ether, and fire. Fire would be the sun. And so we get to experience all the different elements and the way that we move through the discomfort, the frequencies that are no longer serving us, and to find that expander. And when you're in community and you feel supported, seen, loved, witnessed, it makes it a lot easier. So I have an incredible community. We have a Facebook group, and then we also have different ways to connect to each other through coaching. I have mini classes, and then I have a 6-month container mastermind as well. And then last but not least, the transformation retreats where we have a full immersion experience. We get together usually for 5 days or 7 days, whether it's domestic or international, and we get to have a extra amazing, extraordinary experience together where you're supported the whole way, guided through meditation, breath work, usually sound healings included, and yoga. And I can tell you from the women that have come through my coaching, my yoga, or my retreats, they change, they shift, they elevate, they awaken, and they align to something even more sacred than we could ever really understand in this human experience. There's a world of abundance that we can all access and tap into. And when you're surrounded and you have somebody guide you through it, it makes it a lot easier. So I offer all the things. But the place to start, if someone's curious of knowing what would it feel like to feel more aligned and more expanded and more loved and more connected, and especially if you're looking to heal that unworthiness and step into your enoughness. And then the more than enough is yoga, a daily ritual to come back to you.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, give the listeners some best practice tips on, combating things like stress, panic attacks, and burnout?
Yeah, great. I know them well. I also coach a lot of people that are still in the belly of that beast. I think the stress, the overwhelm, the exhaustion comes from a lot of the ways that we've created the version of ourselves that is doing everything, doing the and then some, all the to-do lists. So it's the job, it's the family, it's the extracurricular, it's also the fitness. Like we've got so many boxes we're trying to check and so many things we're trying to manage and juggle. And I think it comes back down to, what do you really want? How do you want to feel in your body? How do you want your day to go? What is the intention behind your day? Not just the week, the month, the year, but how do you want to feel today? So, my mantra first thing in the morning, as I open my eyes, I ask myself, how do I feel? And it's usually about a rest. Did I get good rest? Did I sleep well? Am I tired? Did I get to bed on time? Or my heart? How's my heart? How are my emotions? How do I truly feel? And then I listen. So the body gives us feedback, the heart will give you feedback. Your emotional mental support system is constantly communicating. Most of the time we ignore it or we are not available to be present to it. So listen to the feedback and then take inspired action with the next question is, what do I need? So now we know how we feel. And then what do you need? What is the next thing you can do to serve you? So that's probably get up and have a drink of water. Maybe sit down and have a few moments to just connect to your breath. Maybe put your face in the sun on that first bright, shining morning step into getting into your own rhythm, connecting to nature. So that's literally my morning ritual. Next, I'll go outside, drink that water, put my face in the sun, and have some connected time to nature, to God, to my breath, to myself. So I've learned to serve me spiritually first before I ever try to serve anybody, including my kids. I have to be good because I spent my whole life serving everybody else and then I crashed and burned out. And if you're feeling those feelings of overwhelm and burnout, when was the last time you took time for you? And that's not just a bubble bath or having a lunch that is delicious. It's taking it, having the integrity to take time to build and foster a loving, supportive relationship with yourself, especially if you haven't had that in life from your parents or the people that are in your life that are here to love and care for you. If they don't love you in a way that is supportive and caring, and you got to start with you. So those are the first steps I'd offer. The mantra, how do I feel and what do I need in the morning? And then serve yourself. What is the next thing you need to do? And start your day like that every day.
Well, talk to the listeners how in your practice you mix ancient techniques with modern wellness to, help your clients.
Yeah, beautiful. So yoga and its sister medicine is called Ayurveda. Ayurveda in Sanskrit means knowledge of life, the wisdom of life. Both of these about 5,000 years of wisdom. And they're super simple techniques. Yoga isn't necessarily the physical practice. There's 8 limbs to yoga. So the yoga means to yoke, to connect, to be in union, one with yourself, which we just talked about, two with God. If you want to extend that one step further, to be with each other. We are all interconnected. And when we're not living in a world of looking at all the ways we're different or separate through judgment, through fear, through separation, we can feel into that frequency of knowing we're interconnected. And life is a lot easier when we connect. We are a human species that was born to be in community, to be together. So this ancient wisdom is a lot like what you'd understand from circadian rhythm. We've fallen away from being in rhythm with nature, with life, because of the separateness. The pandemic amplified what that separation really felt like. Fear, overwhelm, loneliness, isolation, like the worst of the worst conditions for us to live and be in. And some people live like that every day through their own personal isolation from fear of connecting and being rejected and not being loved. So one of the steps that I talk about and I teach from is how to deeply connect to yourself and first serve yourself. And then what are some of the habits would be nourishing ourselves? How are we feeding ourselves and what are we nourishing ourselves with? Are you over consuming, whether it's food, whether it's alcohol, whether it's a substance, whether it's the aimless void, devoid of self by scrolling? is that nourishing? Is that caring? Is that loving? And we just start to come back to presence, to awaken ourselves of like um, stepping out of what we call the matrix. Like there's a world that's interconnected, and then there's a world of separation and void. Where do you want to play? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to co-create? So another step would be, did you rest? Are you putting the phone down and getting off of the blue screen so you can actually put yourself to bed and get a beautiful night's sleep? You know, during the nighttime, our organs detox. Some people think I need to do a detox every couple months with supplements. Yeah, maybe just go to bed early without eating food before you go to sleep. So giving your body the time to actually rest and digest. And then you wake up feeling better. You don't wake up exhausted and overwhelmed. Another one is eating earlier. So our largest meal of the day should be lunchtime. The sun is the highest, which gives the body the fire, the Agni, the most opportunity to digest and burn that nourishment, that nutrient as fuel. But if we're addicted to substances like sugar, salt, or oh my gosh, the additives that are in our food that make us keep coming back for more, you know, these companies put this stuff in our food so we will eat all of it so then we buy more of it. It's capitalism at its worst. So is what you're eating nourishing? Can you put real food inside of your body, have that largest meal at lunchtime, have a light dinner? Supper was originally a supplement to lunch, not a big dinner with four courses that then you're bloated and full and gassy, and then you're laying on a full belly trying to go to bed, or you then are putting alcohol or other substances on top of it. You know, we've fallen away from, we are a sentient being here having a human experience, or a sovereign being having a human experience. And this is a temple. And we get to fall in love with life, not avoid life because it's been hard and people have hurt us. And that then we're suffering and struggling. And then we want to numb the F out because we can't tolerate the pain. So we flip it all on its head. And it's really a rhythm of a reset. So ancient traditions that served thousands and thousands of years of health and wellness and vitality. You know, Ayurveda's mission is to prevent disease. It prevents it. It doesn't, I don't have to cure it. You wouldn't need a whole bunch of pills to soothe the symptoms. You cure them. You heal yourself. So that's some of the ways that we tap into the ancient wisdom from Ayurveda and yoga and help support the modern woman in her path of understanding she feels like shit and she wants support, and it's not another pill, and it's probably not another podcast. It's probably time alone in stillness, connecting to your breath and seeing what does your heart really have to say and how can you support yourself in the most loving and kind way.
Well, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Oh, thank you. So I'm in a rebranding right now. I'm moving from JKS Yoga into what's called High Frequency Yoga. It's the overarching umbrella of all the offerings that I have. And that does include the yoga, the breath and body practice, the movement is the medicine, the workshops and the retreats. I have a mastermind called A Return to You, which we truly return back to the core of who you are before the world told you who you needed to be, which is why we're misaligned, because we're performing for what the world said we needed to be based on culture, religion, and our parents and the ecosystems around us that were conditioning us to believe that we're not enough. So the rebrand will be High Frequency Yoga. That will be coming out in the next few months. And then underneath that umbrella, I'll be launching two retreats, one for the fall. And then we're also putting Bali on the list for 2026. So anyone that's looking for an international experience, we've done Tulum in Costa Rica. We've done a couple in the States, North Carolina and Asheville. We've done Joshua Tree and Sedona. But we're looking to really expand here. So if you're looking for support and love and a sisterhood that is like nothing else out there, I invite you to check out my Instagram page. It's under Jennifer Kenny Smith, or my LinkedIn page, Jennifer Kenny Smith. And that High Frequency Yoga page will be coming up pretty soon.
Well, do you have a website so listeners can keep up with everything that you're up to?
Yep, that's also jksyoga.com, and that will be transitioning to high frequency yoga in the next few months, but it will all be seamless. So whichever page you find me on, whatever time you listen to this podcast, you'll be able to find me there, and you'll get access to all of the updates on the email as well.
Gotcha. Close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to touch on that you would like to talk about it, any final thoughts you have for the listeners?
I'm just so excited to have time with you and with your listeners. My encouragement is that life is absolutely extraordinary and beautiful, and it is, you have access to it. And even if it doesn't feel like that today, I have the blueprint because I've been through it myself from a lot of toxicity, a lot of pain, abuse, and trauma that's been transmuted into be able to create the most abundant, most flourishing life that you've ever dreamed of. I know I can help you get there. So if that sounds like yes, I have full body, hell yes, reach out. I'd love to know you. I do free discovery calls to see if I'm the right fit or just see if I can help you with a quick breakthrough if you're really stuck on something. But I'm just here to serve and support and shed the suffering, the suffering container, the condition that we believe we're stuck. Just shed that belief. It's just not true. It might have just been a segment of your life, but it's not. It's definitely not your lifetime journey. It's more to help you amplify and bring in and call in more of what you love and what you want.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, jksyoga.com. Please follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible, and keep up with everything that Jennifer's up to. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform and visit www.curveball337.com for more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Jennifer, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.